So we did some background kind of uh, understanding for shloka number 17, because Manu's going to ask me which shloka is it. So it's shloka number 17 that we are discussing. Hmm? And we did some background, like some fundamental foundation uh, study of it. Can somebody take over and do a revision of what we did last time? Vishwani, do you have your notes handy? You were there.
Yes, I do actually. Just give me a second. Let me switch on some light. Yeah,
Excellent.
I can take a go at it.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I mean, you can start. I'll be right back. I need a matchbox.
Sure. Um, so we learned that in the last class, Auntie taken us, we started the discussion by saying how the color we recognize in any object is the one color that's actually not there and it actually reflects it. So the whole point of this is how that our physical perception is fundamentally flawed. So we discussed how a saint is able to see God in a sinner even because they no longer use their senses to see. So our entire perception of the world is limited to our senses, and the senses are flawed. You know, they give us information that's not really there, and more so in the context of this shloka, especially when the senses are giving proof about the soul. We then spoke about how Bhagavad Gita is actually a Nivriti Shastra, and it tells you everything that you are not. So, Lord Krishna tells us that for the crux of who you are, there's actually no proof, because proof, again, is rooted in senses, which are fundamentally flawed. So, this particular chapter is for everyone experiencing death and acute hardships, because your mind is constantly in onslaught mode. You're creating these thoughts at absolute breakneck speed. Your mind is perpetually exploding, and the situation or the problem with being in grief is non-stop thoughts which keep taking you further and further away from the actual truth or reality. So the mental noise that we have, it actually keeps us keeps us away from the intrinsic value of something. So we have these, if we employ our senses to see the soul, it will never happen. We need the right tools to see and experience it, and the right tool, like we learned, is actually silence. So once you quieten yourself down or stay in silence, you will actually end up talking to the soul. So, Auntie shared that we should never feel sad or be in a sorry state for the departed. The more we perpetuate it, the harder it keeps becoming for us to connect with the soul. And the Shastras can only tell us what the soul is not. And as you keep peeling away layer by layer, we learned about Aham Brahmasmi, but no one really understands this because everyone has a different narrative of who I am. And again, every time that is involved, it's because our sensory perception is such, and because that it's inherently flawed. So the second chapter is actually the study of who we are not. We are not the body. We're not the body that dies. We're not the clothes that get changed. And the biggest takeaway, at least for me, was neither can you keep someone alive, nor can you kill somebody. You cannot choose to keep the body, and you cannot kill the soul. So once the body is gone, the karmic pattern for that body is over. They're just going to change their clothes and move on. But if after someone is gone and we keep creating this mental chatter and live in regret and the what ifs, then we're still creating karma. So we actually, Auntie explained why we experience or grieve or mourn or feel a loss is because we actually have no experience of experiencing a soul outside their material existence. So we don't know what to do. We don't know how to, we don't have the tools. That's why we mourn, we grieve, and we feel the sense of loss. And of course, last class was hit home personally a lot for me. I just lost someone close to me. And I remember my biggest takeaway was nobody ever departs. The soul is actually eternal, indestructible, and everlasting. So it's about us shifting our narrative. Instead of saying, they are gone, they are gone, they are gone, we need to shift it to they are right here. So yeah, that's it.
Very nicely done. Thank you so much. Any big takeaways for Shalini?
The biggest takeaway is quieten your mind. And I think that itself, because any situation, it doesn't have to be necessarily death. Any situation in your mind starts perpetuating all kinds of scenarios, like you said, and that just takes over. And that is one thing that till we quieten our mind, we can't connect with our true self, with the true souls. Um, whether alive or departed, I think both ways. And so I think that was the biggest takeaway. Otherwise, Shwani's, I think, covered most of it. And there was one more. Um, so also, you explained how souls, even though they depart, but they are connected, and souls are born in groups. That also was something very important, I felt, because like it's not that you are not going to see them again. You will. It's just a matter of time. And you explain the whole
Definitely,
thing,
every single person that you have lost in your life, you will see them at the end of your life.
and you
Oh,
explained how regeneration thing also,
right.
with because of the like how we do Shraddh for 3 generations. So that is the time period. I mean, not absolutely, but usually that's a time period a spirit takes to come back again. So
Correct.
that's why we will see them, and how parents or any soul connected to you, whether it's spouse, friend, anyone close to you who's born in the same group, will be there, and you can reach out to them. All you have to do is quieten your mind and be able to connect to them at that level. And also you said that instead of constantly saying that or believing, rather than saying, because again you said that language is not the way to the soul, it's the silence. So the moment you believe that they are there, it is easier to come closer to them or connect eventually, instead of believing that they are not there.
Okay, excellent. Palomi, any thoughts? It was your first class, last class. It is also a very hard time. Were you able to put something in practice, or do you have any thoughts? Do you have anything that you remember? Mm, you're still muted if you're trying to speak. Miss Sate, are you there? Okay, absentee attendance. Sonal, thoughts from you?
I think between Shalini and Vishwani, I think
They,
they've
they
mostly
cover the
covered
class, but
everything.
something that stuck?
Right. Well, that's what I was just about to say. So I listened to it again, and just kind of like listened and didn't try to take more notes, and just kept. I mean, we keep going back to this idea of, we have to quieten the mind to get back to the soul, and Shalini just talked about it again, but that idea that when we have these outside circumstances, whether they're like on the physical level where something's actually happening versus like an astrological level, it's hard to hold on to the quietness to get back to the soul. So I guess for me, um, the sadhana obviously helps, and the Ishvara Pranidhanam and the faith and all of that is really important. And yet that there's still these moments where it trips you up, where you start
Yeah, because
going
she seems to be
down.
talking. Mhm.
Palami or me? So
They're talking, it's fine. Go ahead.
okay. So I was just saying that I think that having reflected back, I just keep thinking about these moments where, the tapas, the other things are kind of like affecting me still, and how can I keep coming back to center outside of the sadhana, and like how can I keep how can I keep that silence?
You can't do that without sadhana. That's why sadhana is so important. Till you reach samadhi, you have to do sadhana. So what are the, you're a Yoga Sutra student, right? What are the steps? What are the Ashtanga?
I know, but all of the cleaning out of all of the different things, right, and sensation. I mean,
Rajshri can answer that question. Rajshri, what are the steps? What are the Ashtanga? 8 steps.
Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi.
Excellent. Yam Niyam, control your senses. Control yourself around other people. Control yourself in the wake of externalities. Control yourself within you. Control your body. Control your breath. Control your mind. Empty your mind. Samadhi. As a yoga student, you should know this, that till you have reached samadhi, let me finish. Your question is, how do you continue to sustain that state of quietness? You cannot. Till you have achieved samadhi, you have to be in sadhana. And whatever level you are at. Are you being affected by externalities? Then you are at yam. Are you being affected by internal control that you don't have? Then you are in niyam. Are you being affected by your bodily onslaught? Obviously, if the first two are not there, you will be definitely dealing with that. Then you are in asan. And then fluctuation of mood and everything else. That's pranayam. One-pointedness. Completely focusing yourself on one thing. Like I said last time, contain a positive narrative. Continue to focus on a positive narrative. So if you're able to do that, only just that. If you're always able to stay happy, just that. That's dharana. And then again, what we discussed in the last class, emptying your mind, that is dhyan. Allowing the reality to seep in. The reality is not what your mind contains right now. So if you can stop your mind, then the reality will seep. It's not like there is a void. It's not like it's a vacuum. But the reality is different from your made up reality or your sensory reality or your sensory perception. So as you let that seep in, you reach samadhi. And once you reach samadhi, this was one question from Khushbu that I did not answer last time. Her question was, so how does a saint look at everyone the same? That was her question. And I didn't really answer it. Why the saint can see everybody as the same? Very easy for them, because they are not looking at people based on their societal judgment that they have gathered from their conditioning or lifetime. They're not judging people based on what they see or what they hear or what they compare them to be with as in comparison to other people. Saints do not have any such filters. And that's why saints can see in their samadhi, in that state where they are at, where they have zero judgment, there is no conditioning being applied. They can see the truth. What is the truth? Eternal. Everybody is eternal. Everybody is the same. Everybody is us. We are one. So they can see it for what it is, instead of see it for a misdirected or untrue reality that you have perceived of others. Anna? This was your question, no, Khushbu? I didn't really answer it. So saints can see because they are in samadhi. Who's a saint? A saint is somebody who's, I'm not a saint. I'm not in samadhi. I do not see people as the same. I'm a very judgmental person. So till I reach Samadhi, I will continue to be like this. What can keep me from being like this all the time? Sadhana. What can keep my fluctuations to be smaller and smaller? Sadhana. No matter what happens, sadhana. Till you reach Samadhi, it's a constant struggle. And when you reach Samadhi, there is no problem at all. Once you reach Samadhi, there is no problem because you can see the truth. You cannot go back to being something else then. That's a different kind of societal problem. Because the society does not understand what you're doing. Like, why did you give away all your clothes? Why did you give away your house? Why did you pick up a scorpion from the pond or the river? Right? No, the society cannot understand this. So containing that somehow, the some state, the neutral state is only possible when you know the truth. And truth is only possible through sadhana. And sadhana at all levels. Quietening of the mind is the most important. Even because thanks to Mamta, she joined today. How can she quieten her mind? Body itna fluctuate kar rahi hai. Emotions itne fluctuate kar rahe hain. Hormones itna fluctuate kar rahe hain. You know, Purva ka bhi same problem hai. So number 7 problem. Body is a big problem for number 7. You are stuck at that asan space only. You have great mind control, everything else is there. वो आसन ये योगा का वो जो फिजिकल स्टेट है वो बहुत स्ट्रगल करना पड़ता है. ये I don't know what is Palomi, Sona.
I'm here,
She's a
sorry.
4. Yeah.
I'm a 4.
Oh, okay. So that's not a problem for you. Body is not a problem for you. 7s have that problem. Big problem. So अब कहाँ से आएगा? How will you quieten the mind? Mind cannot be quietened. Last night only Deepa was saying, I cannot help the sugar rushes. Have to have sugar. और कैसा करेंगे उसको? नहीं हो सकता. Possible ही नहीं. Mind is in a flux because of the body. This will not be Shalini's problem. Shalini has a different problem. This will not be Manu's problem. You're not even thinking body. That doesn't disturb you at all. So what Lord Krishna is saying is that there is a certain truth in that needs to be perceived, which is not perceivable for most of us. It's like you believe what you see, right? You believe what you see. That means whatever you can't see is not true. Correct? Yes, Manu, you with me? What you cannot see may not be true, may not exist. Can you see your own eyes?
In the mirror.
But can you see them without the mirror? मिरर तो ठीक है, गुरु दिखाएगा. नहीं चल रहा? नहीं, I'm going to sit next to you. I don't come to sit here often. So does that mean that the eyes don't exist? So the source of perception is eyes. Think about it very deeply, guys. You can see the world through the eyes, but you cannot see the eyes. Does that mean the eyes are not true? God is very similar. or Paramatma or energy or what you call Atma, very similar. Atma makes you alive. Everything in your life is because of Atma. It puts life into you and it shows you all this beautiful color around you. And you start believing all the color around you. But you cannot see the Atma. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That is the problem. You cannot see the apparatus through which everything is functioning. But there is only truth in that apparatus. The rest is all Maya, not true. Does that make sense? Are you with me? Everybody with me? Did I lose anybody? Anybody off the chariot? We're all still there with Krishna and Arjun? Okay. So this is what is being discussed in this shloka. Shloka number 17. This is the discussion. They are saying that, let's read the shloka, you will understand. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarva midam tatam. Vinashamavyayasyasya na kaschit kartu marhati. I have explained the word by word meaning of this before. Yes? Does everybody have it? Everybody has it, na? Word by word meaning of this shloka. Okay. What is the word by word meaning, Manu? You have it? Because you questioned me a lot on that. So I'm sure you've written it down somewhere. You're muted.
So Avinashi means the soul जिसका नाश नहीं हो सकता है. तो अविनाशी तू तत्व विधि. So
किसी भी विधि से उसका नुकसान नहीं हो सकता, डिस्ट्रक्शन नहीं, विधि.
ये न सर्वम इदम तत्व, यानी कि आप सारे तत्वों में हो. Everywhere.
Yes, you're all pervading. The Avinashi is all pervading. It is in everything. Like we took the example of the eyes, right? You cannot see without the eyes. Remember our examples of waves. Water is not pervading the waves. Like, you know, I have a lamp. I have a incense stick. Incense stick is pervading. The sense of the stick is pervading the room. This is not the kind of pervading that we are talking about. When I say wave and water, the water makes up the wave. When I say sight and vision, the eyes give you everything. When I say gold and ornaments, ornaments cannot be made without gold at all. It's not possible. It's a very different kind of all-pervading. अविनाशी तो त्वद्विधि, किसी भी तरह से जो डिस्ट्रॉय नहीं हो सकता, ये हर चीज में है. आप में, मुझ में, हर चीज में. और कैसे है? ऐसे नहीं है जैसे इंसेंस स्टिक रूम में. It's not like an incense burning in the room. It's not like a lamp pervading into the room, illuminating it a little bit. It's not like that. It's like the gold in the jewelry. It's like the clay in the pot. It's like the sight in the vision.
Like
उससे है.
Yes, Purva?
like
नहीं, उससे fundamentally उससे बना है.
हाँ.
That's what I like, inseparable.
The vision cannot exist without the eyes. The wave cannot exist without the water. It's not just inseparable.
It's made of that.
It is, yeah, it is all pervading, like, atoms in our body. Without that, we don't exist. So let's not think of it as a separation. We are always thinking of it as a separation. There is no separation. There is no existence without that soul, without that Atma, without that indestructible. So the Atma is indestructible. How can the individual be destroyed? When the individual, think about it again, when the individual is completely all pervaded, completely made of the Atma. Krishna is saying this point only, no. The individual is completely made by the Atma. 100% made by the Atma. There is no individual without the Atma. So how can the individual be destroyed? How is it possible? कोई मर ही कैसे सकता है? ये possible ही नहीं है. This is not possible. ना कोई मर सकता है, ना कोई मारा जा सकता है. This is a mithya. This is a myth. There is no reality in this. It's just that you cannot see, just like you cannot see your eyes. और वो reality आ सकती है, आपको समझ में आ सकती है. It's possible for you to understand that reality if you are able to quieten your mind and reach samadhi. Very, very possible. Everybody can get there. What does it require? Sadhana. And like Manu said, if you want to see the eyes, the easiest way is to get a mirror. Then you need a guru. That is the shortcut. सामने से कोई दिखाए. Yes, second line, Manu.
The second line is Vinash, which is destruction. Mavya yasyasya, which is that is imperishable. So जो destruction imperishable चीज का न कश्चित कर्तु, no one can never, mahirti is able to do.
Very nice. Now, I mentioned this, I don't know if you guys remember, there is a play of words. We tad and asya, yasya. Remember I talked about this? Does anybody remember that conversation? No? Okay. So in the first line, the reference to the Atma is tad. Tad means something that is not close to us. Because we cannot perceive, because we cannot see the Atma, Lord Krishna is saying that which cannot be destroyed, and he's using the word tad. That is something away from us. You understand? That when we say that, it means it's not close to us. Something that is away from us. So our perception does not have it. So he's using very beautifully for the same Atma, Lord Krishna in this poetry or Ved Vyas has used two, what are these, Vishwani? That and this?
Well, you can say they're adverbs in a
But Deepa
sense,
ही पढ़ी है. Deepa क्या है?
preposition
Idam.
also.
Huh?
Idam.
No, idam nahi. That and this are what in terms of English grammar?
They're
That is a pronoun, meaning something that stands for the proper noun.
Anyways, that and this, something which is there.
they show action, so they're called demonstratives. They demonstrate something because you point like this and say this and that.
Okay. So Whatever that is in grammar, my grammar is not very good. I'll try and figure it out and tell you next time. I'll take Vishwani's word for it for now, demonstrative. So that the same object is being referred to by Lord Krishna as that. And in the second line, he refers to the same thing as this. Because what you cannot see is not in your perception, so it's far away. And what you can see is the death. You are experiencing death. Right? So he's saying that the second line is Vinasham avyayasya. तो जो तुम देख रहे हो डिस्ट्रॉय होता हुआ, ये हो नहीं सकता, जो कि तुम्हारा एक्सपीरियंस है. That is your experience. So for the same Atma, he's using that and this because you do not know that. This you know. And he's saying this does not happen. Cannot be done. Make sense? Everybody with me?
It's about the visibility of the body and not of the soul.
Correct. Visibility of the body is there for you. So you're thinking it gets destroyed. So he's saying this destruction of the Atma does not happen. This Atma does not get destroyed.
This is Vinash Mavya Yasyasya.
Yes, yeah.
This that is being destroyed is that cannot be destroyed. Yeah?
Yeah. Vinasham ho nahi sakta hai iska. Kaschit kartum arhati. Nobody, nothing, nowhere, any possibility of destruction of this Atma does not exist. That cannot be done. But he's saying, I'm showing you the play of words here. In line 1, he's saying Avinashi, wo Avinashi to tumhe dikhta nahi hai. That which cannot be destroyed is not visible to you. In the second line, he's saying Vinashi. Then when he's saying Vinashi, he's saying you, yours, or this. This Vinashi cannot be, this Vinash cannot happen. This Vinash cannot happen. No which way, no way. Nobody lost anybody. Because they were made up of the soul cannot be destroyed. Sorry?
So, na is for?
Haji?
Sorry. Mavya Yasyasya ke baad na is for?
Not possible. No, no way, no way is it possible. No way. Na is negation. Is not possible. Kashit kartum arhati. Nobody has died. Only the body has fallen. And the body had no stance on its own. Atma was what was giving it light. Atma was like the water in the wave. It is all pervading in the first line we see. वो इतना भरा हुआ है उसके अंदर, जैसे कि एक किसी commentary में they said that in the hills, in Indian hills, the saints and the monks, they call it thasa thas bharpur. Thasa thas bharpur, as in like it's like completely full. There is no, the body on its own is completely insignificant. It'll have nothing without the soul, and the soul cannot be destroyed, right? Sonal and Palomi can testify to that. You guys work with the physical bodies, but there is only so much that you can do. Every single day, you're hoping for the soul to give you some light, some response to the medication. Doctors can't help. Purva can tell you that. Because the problem is at a soul level. You need to heal the soul. The body will heal itself. The only thing doctors can do, I'm not disregarding or in any which way insulting the medical practitioners. The only thing that they are very good at is managing the symptoms of the body. But if you don't address the underlying problem, it will not work, as some of you guys would have experienced. So the sevens can speak to this. Right, Deepa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Purva can also speak to this. Mamta can speak to this. So the body has nothing in it. कुछ भी नहीं उसमें. Everything is coming from the soul. It's made up of the soul, and soul cannot be destroyed. And for those of you who are worried, चला गया कोई? कोई कहीं नहीं गया, यही है. Everybody is right here. Manu can tell you hair-raising stories about how much they are there. Right? Souls are right here. And souls actually, this whole, I'm digressing, this has nothing to do with the shloka, Manu. The souls have come into this body. And this is an aberration. I've said that again and again. If you think this is where you have to enjoy or do, this is where you have to be punished. Body is a punishment. Right? This lifetime is a punish because you accumulated karma, you accumulated vasanas, you have to have a medium to purge those vasanas and karmas. So according to our philosophy, this is not a beautiful space. This is a space of a lot of misery and sadness. And you're basically purging your karmic debts. You're here to purge your karmic debts. So body is an aberration that the soul acquires so that they can go through this cleansing. Is everybody with me? Body is an aberration. Let me finish. That the soul has acquired so that it can purge. जैसे हम लोग कुछ काम करने के लिए कोई चीज अगर उठाते हैं, if say we have to grate something, I'll pick up the grater. Yeah, that's because I need to use it, I am picking it up. Who will use the grater? I will use the grater. Grater has not become something great on its own. When I don't need to use it anymore, I'll drop it. Like similarly, the soul will pick up the body. When it doesn't need to use it, it will drop it.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, instead of purging and cleaning out, we're just accumulating more and more and more. Most of us.
And
yeah. We're.
Right.
So the cleaning mechanism is actually.
That is why Ashtanga yoga. That is why yoga. So philosophy and yoga go hand in hand. If you're not doing yoga, then or some kind of sadhana. Yoga is a systematic step-by-step sadhana. Yes, Khushbu.
So there are multiple questions. If body is punishment, so this punishment is for the soul.
No. This is of soul's choosing. It's like it's picking up an apparatus to clean out something.
Okay. And so the karma that is happening, it is committed by the body or the soul, because body has no existence without soul.
Correct. It has been picked up. What happens? जैसे आपने कीचड़ में गए, एक बार उतरे तो हाथ गंदा हो गया ना? सो बाहर निकालोगे तो गंदा रहेगा. तो हाथ तो बाहर निकल गया. But the dirt remained like that. When the soul comes into the body, when it goes out, it carries a little bit of the dirt that you have accumulated, that Sonal was just talking about. All these vasanas, your attachment to your son, your depression about losing your parents, all of this that you're carrying, it's big weight on your shoulders. The more you carry, the more it will go with you. The more will go with you. When you die, the soul will carry all this baggage that you have created, accumulated, that you weren't able to get rid of. And then to get rid of that baggage, oh, बच्चे को प्यार करते थे, वापस आना पड़ेगा. माँ का सुख देखा नहीं, पिताजी का सुख देखा नहीं, वापस आएंगे, देख के जाएंगे. बहुत बहुत दुख है मुझे उसका. So that's why the soul will come back into the body to be able to get rid of this baggage that the soul has accumulated by virtue of being in the body. It's like putting your hand in dirt. बाहर निकालोगे तो गंदा ही निकलेगा.
And my final question is, when you said that the saint is someone who doesn't judge, who can see the soul, who can understand the barriers beyond perception, the sensory perception, then is it humanly possible to live that kind of a life,
Yes.
that kind of saintly life within worldly pleasures?
Like I said, when you reach the saint stage, the world will have a problem with you. You will not have any problem with the world. So if you become a saint, then the world will have a problem because you have no judgment. You, you have no comparisons. You are extremely loving and giving. You have no boundaries. You don't see a snake for a snake. You will put your hand in the snake also, in the tiger also, in the lion. कोई difference ही नहीं है. The world will have a problem. You will have no qualms about giving. आज पैसा दे सकते हो तुम? मेरे को दे दो 5 लाख रुपया. You have to think about it. But if you were a saint, it doesn't matter. Sabhi Ram ka hai. If it was with me or if it was with you, it doesn't matter. We are all together. We are all the same water. Please do not watch Wild Wild West. It's a stupid documentary. It does not portray Osho in the right way. He was a very, very, very knowledgeable, very arrived human being.
What was the question?
I was only saying that बाकी वर्ल्ड को उनसे प्रॉब्लम हुई वो देखने के लिए.
हाँ, वर्ल्ड को प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. World will not understand. So no, it is not possible for you to live a worldly life as a saint, because the world will not accept you anymore. You've become a problem. You are anti-social, you're anti-establishment, you're anti-judgment, you're anti-accumulation. You are not normal. If you ask my parents, it's hard enough to live with me. Imagine if I really achieved sainthood. Then it will be impossible. And for such realized masters, families will not stick with them because families expect a certain format. है ना, तुमने खाना लाना पड़ेगा, बनाना पड़ेगा, ये करना पड़ेगा, वो करना, वो फैमिली को चाहिए. प्यार करना पड़ेगा. बच्चा है तो उसको प्यार करना पड़ेगा. A saint cannot do that. The saint will be the same, non-discriminative for everybody. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Then you can put your hand down. So I've forgotten what I was saying. What was I saying to begin with? I've digressed. So I was talking about the journey of the soul. So the soul picks up a body to deal with all this. There is a lot of baggage with the soul. It's accumulated that baggage because it went into a life, came out with all this baggage. And now to be able to purge that baggage, it cannot do it as a soul. It's not possible to purge that baggage as a soul because, you know, you want to do it with certain relationships, certain people, certain other souls. It's a lot that you've accumulated. So the soul takes its time, it reviews, it replays, it goes back and forth, it takes its time thinking about everything that has been accumulated, and it plans. This planning takes about 120 years to 200 years in human lifetime. That's why 3 generations, it's approximately that much, 180 years, 120 to 180 years. The soul is not going anywhere, it is just evaluating, re-evaluating, watching what is happening in the people's lives that are close to it, that it has work to do with, like, it has to purge karma with. The soul is sitting there and watching. And then it devises a perfect plan after many years of deliberation, human years, not soul years, many years of deliberation, meeting many such mates back in the soul level, people back in the soul level, many years of deliberation. They all sit down, 3 generations sit down and hatch a plan. How do we all get rid of all our karmic debts in one lifetime? They make a plan and then they take that life. They pick up that body. And of course, the plan is forgotten. So they leave themselves cues, sometimes teachers and masters, sometimes books and guides. And it is very possible to reach, to fulfill that plan in one lifetime, because the soul planned for many years to do this. Many years. So if somebody died a saint, then you should cry, which you don't. But if somebody dies a normal, proper, lived out life, please do not cry, because you will see them again. Definitely, guaranteed, no questions. अभी वो पूरा ही संत बन के कोई जा रहा है तो उसका तो कोई बैगेज ही नहीं है, वो वापस ही नहीं आएगा. That individual has no baggage. Then you can cry. Then it is fair, cry. You can feel sad in that particular one context. Your sadness for anybody else is not justified. And even then, the soul is still there. The soul cannot be destroyed. Yes,
Didi, where is the soul?
right with you. Your mother is right with you. Or she must be with
Maybe
other children or grandchildren. She will be somewhere around. And there is no space. There is no time in the soul space. And there is also no time quantum, no space quantum. They can be everywhere at the same time. They can see 2 pictures at the same time. Because they're planning with you. Because surely when your mom passed away or when Purva's mom passed away, she was worried. तो बच्चों का क्या होगा? What are my kids? They're young. Or when Khushbu's dad passed away. Right? Or when Manvi's parents passed away. Like, the souls are there. Don't worry about them. They're right there. Don't grieve for them, because the body couldn't exist without the soul, and the soul cannot be destroyed. You have a question, Shalini? Yes, Palomi. Are you still there? That was not absentee.
I'm here.
Okay. Were you able to hold on to some things that we said last class?
Yeah, I started to feel a different relationship with my mom. I started to free some of the bounds that I felt I was limited by in connecting with her and communicating with her. I'm also aware that I'm grieving. I'm still feeling the palpable loss in some ways, and I think it's especially when I'm with the other people in my family. It feels like there's a reorganizing function that is different. It's different. I feel her absence in those moments more than when I'm alone and
But
connecting
even
with
that,
her.
see, even that, like I said, there are goalposts that your soul has chosen for yourself. Maybe there was some shifts that were required in you that couldn't have come about without such loss. I mean, we wouldn't have been connected without this loss, right?
Right.
So uh, maybe there were some good things that are around the corner or that are already manifesting in your spaces, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, because of this departure.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of grieving, I would again say refocus yourself to identify what you need to be doing to reorient yourself, because that's where your growth lies. Your mom, you will
Mm-hmm.
see. Does that make sense?
Of course. But when you say my mom, I will see like at the end of my life or every
Think
day,
about
always.
if you are able to quieten yourself, you can see her all the time. If you're
Yeah,
not
I think.
able to quieten yourself, you will definitely see her after a certain time,
Yeah,
right? That a body
for
cannot live
sure.
forever. Body is perishable.
Yeah,
So at some point, you will also drop yours,
yeah.
and you will definitely see her. She will be the first one to greet you,
Hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when now at this juncture, when the changes are happening, instead of missing her, try and reorient yourself to see what is the lesson in there for you, because such a big thing has happened in your life. This is a big event, it's a big change. You must have
Yeah,
put it in your life, your soul put it in your life for a reason,
yeah.
and you must identify your learning points or your movement so that you can do a better job of transformation for yourself so that you're able to achieve your goals in 1 or 2 lifetimes.
How do I do that? How do I identify those things?
See the changes that are percolating and
Mm.
run with those
Mm-hmm.
instead of, oh, I wish my mom was there. Okay, what does that change in me? How do I need to deal with a certain family member, or how do I need to address this problem or that problem? What needs
Mm-hmm.
to change in me? What do I need to learn and grow with? Does that make
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Pooja?
Thank you.
I just had to mention something that this is strange. Me and my dad were talking about this maybe 12 or 15 years ago when my mom got sick that and then passed. That in her patri or her horoscope, it said that early death. So in my dad's horoscope, it said wife will have an early death. In mine, it said mother will. So what a deliberate plan. I don't know who does this or how it works.
You do it.
That's how we come together. Yeah.
You do it. This plan was, that's why it takes 120 to 180 years, because four souls from the same cluster have to come together with the same lot.
Right.
So you do it. You guys sit in the soul space. You all sit and you hatch a plan. Okay, we'll go there and we'll do this. Imagine like any action movie where they're like Ocean's 11 or something, like where they're hatching a plan. They're like so many of us who come together. You and I also sat together
Yes.
and hatched a plan that I'm gonna come here and then you're gonna learn this and then you're gonna do this. So all of this is all planned by who? By who? There's no God here. God nahi aata kisi bhi. There is no existence of God in this sense. This plan, that's why you take your time and you wait for the right cluster of souls to come together. Manu's father's been sick for so many years. It will be there in everybody's patri. This is by design. Whose design? Your design. You cannot
so
blame.
beautiful.
You cannot blame anybody else. You sat, you waited, you needed to live a life independently, learn, grow, something you may not have done in your last lifetime. No. So many insecurities. I'm sure both can talk to this a little bit. Both. There are so many things that were like a big gap for you when your mom passed away, and for many decades after. And then now, can you guys hear me? Yeah. And now it's changing. Those, you're not looking at life as the loss that it was, but you're able to move from a negative to a positive space. Is that true? Can you talk to it?
Sorry, my computer went off in the middle.
No worries.
But yes, I mean, a little bit.
What?
A little bit positive.
Yes, Didi.
All right. So this is the main message. Again, like I said, Lord Krishna is he's talking from a hard vantage point. He's talking from a very high vantage point. But he doesn't recognize that Arjun is so far down, or maybe he does also. He just wants to say his piece first. And he says again and again, he's trying to tell Arjun, look, there is no need to be sad. Do not be sad, Arjun. The body could not have existed without the soul. The soul cannot be destroyed. The person that you're missing is still there, will always be there, will continue to exist. It can never happen that they're not there. What is missing? Your ability to see is missing. Like you cannot see your eyes, you cannot see the soul. And when you cannot see your soul, you can't see anybody else's soul either, because you don't believe that it exists, because you have shifted your belief system into your sensory perception, right? You shifted whatever you can see, you believe, and you cannot see this. So you don't believe it. And because you don't believe it, you will grieve and you'll be sad. No need to be that. The soul cannot be destroyed. It is not possible ever. And the soul is the only thing that constitutes the human body. It's like the jewelry and the gold. There is nothing without the soul. It's like a hologram that is being projected. The power is somewhere else.
Can I ask a question?
Zor se bolna so that it can be audible.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the elevated vantage point of saying that the soul is permanent, and say Arjun, accepts that and goes on to the battlefield. But then, even if I were to accept this fully and fully understand it, but to go out in the world and inflict harm on another human being, or by killing them, aren't they accruing karma in that moment of action? The person who dies and the person who dies and experiences pain. So Bhishma Pitama.
The other person's pain does not have you accumulate karma. You have to understand karma only. You don't understand karma only. That's why this question. Karma is only for the soul, the individual soul.
So only the imprints left on our mind.
Only those things that make us heavy and sticky will go with us. So if Arjun carries guilt, if Arjun kills Bhishma Pitama and knows this person cannot be killed, I'm just doing my duty, then he's not heavy with that guilt. Does that make sense? If there is no guilt, there is no baggage that is carried by the soul.
But what about the ability to feel the other person's pain when you're
Bhishma
inflicting?
Pitama already, that's also what something Krishna says. You cannot, Bhishma Pitama is already a saint. He's already elevated. He will not feel any karma because he's come into the battleground as his duty. भीष्म पितामह जो लोग इसको मारने में लगता था कि ये कुछ दुख होगा, वो लोग तो ऑलरेडी सेंट है. और अगर नहीं भी हैं, that is not your problem. If they have not achieved sainthood, that is also not your problem, because they will play out their karmas with somebody else. You didn't carry any.
So then our sensitivity is our own curse and burden to bear.
Yes. The more you think and feel, the worse it will be for you.
But then should we operate in the world without sensitivity then?
You cannot do it without being a saint. Unless you reach samadhi, you will not be able to do that. You will accumulate. It will be just a pattern. You cannot reach that level without reaching samadhi. And when you reach samadhi, you will operate at that level. But that's not no sensitivity. That's complete knowledge.
That is having empathy without leaving any imprints on the soul.
Correct. You're operating at a different level. Like again, yesterday also when we were discussing day before yesterday, I said Kabir. Kabir is a great example. Kill your child. He killed his son. Do you think he carried imprints? Usko dard hua hoga. Not only others, Meera took poison. She killed herself. दुख तो हुआ होगा, कुछ तो हुआ होगा. Something must have happened. जिसने दिया उसको भी गिल्ट हुआ होगा, पर उससे मीरा का क्या? So you have to operate at a very you have to be at that elevated level to be able to operate like that. It's not a behavioral thing that you can do. If today you and I are eating meat, we are creating karma, right? But if Kabir was eating meat, he's eating prasad. He will not accumulate karma. But the animal still died, was still suffering, whatever, but he will not accumulate karma. Because he's operating at a different level. Kabir is able to see the animal as, something that has been saved from this life of misery. Oh, I don't know what that state is. But it will be a completely different state. It's not acquired behavior that you can, okay, now start operating without any. And that's not what Krishna is saying. Yes, detachment is the key, darling. That's not what Krishna is saying. Krishna is just saying, don't feel sad. He's only saying that. And if your biggest grief comes from death, then that grief is something that I am telling you, soul cannot be destroyed. And I'm telling you, individual cannot exist without the soul. And therefore, by definition, nobody dies. Yes, Manu. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Just wanting to add on to her question. जो कृष्ण जी उस वक्त कह रहे थे वो सिर्फ अर्जुन का डाउट हटा रहे थे कि भाई मैं अपने गुरु को मारूंगा या मैं अपने रिलेटिव्स को मारूंगा, तो कह रहे हैं कि आप किसी को नहीं मारोगे, वो आप उसकी टेंशन मत लो, कोई नहीं मर रहा. मगर वो उसका फल को पे करना पड़ेगा जो काम किया है अर्जुन ने. एंड आफ्टर दैट दे लॉस्ट देयर चिल्ड्रन एंड उनके आगे वंश नहीं बढ़ा, तो वो सब उनके ऊपर उसका इफेक्ट तो हुआ ही. right?
उनके ऊपर इफेक्ट नहीं हुआ, वो तो चले गए ना अपना। वंश तो उनका रहा ही नहीं। वंश तो पहले भी किसका था? इतनी सारी कहानी सुनाई मैंने तेरे को मनु, कुछ कुछ याद नहीं है किसका वंश था? सूर्य का वंश था, चंद्रमा का वंश था, किसका? इंद्र का वंश था, किसका वंश था? ये पिताजी तो कोई और थे।
Yes.
The vansh, the family line, this very it was a fisher woman, and like what happened? Where did we arrive? वंश किसका था?
व्यास जी का था,
किसका था?
व्यास जी का था।
वेद व्यास जी का भी तो कहाँ रहा? Ved, see, Ved Vyas had the two children, the three children, Vidur and Dhritarashtra and Pandu. And then Dhritarashtra, so all of them were killed. Pandu, the five, were born out of other वंश नहीं था वेद व्यास, उनका भी वंश नहीं था। किसका वंश था? See, everybody is individual. ये वंश की प्रॉब्लम उसको है जो जिंदा है, जो मर गया उसको नहीं है। Make sense? And especially those souls that have departed after freeing themselves of all the baggage, they don't have to worry about coming back because the aberration doesn't have to happen again. Does that make sense? Are you with me? If you freed yourself, if you detached yourself, if you arrived at samadhi, then you don't have to worry about this soul cluster or that soul cluster. How will I come back if my children are not there, great grandchildren are not there, great great grandchildren are there? This is a problem of normal souls. Our souls, your soul. It's normal people's soul.
So basically पांडव तो वो इंद्र के थे, सूर्य के थे, वो सब के वंश थे। भगवान को तो नहीं चाहिए बच्चे आगे, मतलब इट डजंट नीड दैट। तो वो तो मैं समझ गया कि पांडव का कोई इशू नहीं है, बट कौरव्स को तो भगवान नहीं थे उनका तो कोई।
कौरव तो अभी भी देख रहे हैं ना, सारे कौरव आ गए वापस।
हाँ,
ये देखो, डोनाल्ड ट्रंप है, पूरा मिडिल ईस्ट है, मतलब इतने सारे कौरव हैं। 100 मारे थे, पता नहीं कितने आ गए। जो anybody who represents that darkness is a Kaurav. Anybody who represents that greed, that darkness, that lack of empathy, sympathy, lack of even action is a Kaurav. इतना प्रपंच करके कोई पावर में जाना चाहे, वो कौरव है। If somebody tries really hard, Sam Dam Dandbhe, just to get into power, get into limelight, get into position to run things, कौरव है। हम तो कर नहीं पाते। Even though I gave you so much lecture in the first chapter, how many of us tried very hard to do something really big? How many of us could learn from Duryodhan? Even though I gave you a big 2-3 classes, I kept telling you become Duryodhan. How many became Duryodhan? You tell me, Manu, you listened to those classes, right? Were you able to become Duryodhan? हम मजबूर हैं, नहीं बन पाते।
प्री कंडीशन क्या हुआ है कि नहीं बनना है?
Soul, our soul is different. Those souls are different. At a very deep level, you won't be able to, because you're only made up of your soul. There is nothing else that is yours. Everything comes from your soul. Your soul is only different. तो ब्राह्मण का सोल है, कुछ नहीं हो सकता इसमें, नहीं कर सकता। Not possible. So even though I explained, I don't think I lack the explanation in any which way. Did I do a bad job of telling you should be Duryodhan? I repeated it over and over, shloka after shloka. You cannot have that kind of drive. Possible nahi hai. आप पूरा वीर रस की पोएट्री सुनिए, राजस्थान की पोएट्री सुनिए, महाराष्ट्र की, मराठास की पोएट्री, even the Bundelkhandis, like it's not possible. We can fight. We cannot be diplomatic. It's not possible. हम गुप्त रह सकते हैं, गदा नहीं कर सकते. बहुत बहुत फर्क है. We can stay down for a while, but we cannot shake hands with the enemy. It's not possible. Look at Duryodhan. He shook hands with everybody. सब आ जाओ. So even though I explained Duryodhan properly to you guys, it is not possible to be Duryodhan, because the soul dictates everything in your lives. And Khushbu, you got it. Detachment is the key. Yes, Mamta.
If soul dictates everything, then even the illness we get, the soul dictates, the loneliness, whatever
It is
I'm
your
facing, like
it is your design, but you are facing it and you continue to face it. What I just told Palomi na, is very true for you guys also. करना क्या है ये देखो ना. The soul has given you a light post. It's given you a warning signs. ये हो गया. Oh, big problem happened. Pancreas stopped working. Kidney stopped working. Big problem happened. Liver stopped working. You went through your niece's liver transplant. Liver stopped working. Imagine. At the age of 18, 20, liver stopped working. So these big problems that come into our lives, instead of focusing on the problems, what happens is we focus on the matter of it. And we create more baggage by focusing on the matter of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, my brother died. So I continue to think about my brother died, my brother died, my brother. So I'm focusing on the matter of it. I can't do this, I can't do Rakhi, I can't do anything, like so many things that a brother would take care of. That cannot be done. That will not be done in my life. And I continue to focus on it. If you continue to focus on it, I'm creating karma. And I'm feeling miserable while I'm doing that. Yes, do you understand? Instead, the big shift happened. I have to reorient. I have to take care of my parents differently. I have to take care of my life differently. I have different responsibilities. I cannot run away. I cannot take sannyas. I cannot do so many things that I cannot do now anymore. So I have to take on the changes that my spirit needs to make. Because these are changes that need to be made. Internally, I have to give myself permission to do so many things differently, because the whole language has changed, everybody's changed, situation has changed. Inside, the permission that I have to give, or the lessons that I have to learn, or the compassion that I have to develop to deal with my life differently, is what I should focus on. If I focus on the material, then I'm only dealing with symptoms. अब मुझे रोना आ रहा है और अब मेरा मन ठीक नहीं है, ये बस खाली symptoms. Now I should start taking antidepressants. So instead of focusing yourself on the material of it, see what you must have a plan there. Your soul had a plan. And your loneliness and all of this and your physicality led you to so many good things, Mamta. So much dhan you're doing, so much puja you're doing, or not able to do now. Focus on that. You met with so many beautiful souls, such good people in your life who are there to help. You have a beautiful brother who takes care of everything. Right? कहाँ माँ की क्या जरूरत है? भाई सारा कुछ कर देता है. जितना माँ भी कभी ना देती ना, उतना भाई ने दिया है तुम्हें.
That's true. So I have to look at the brighter side and say, okay.
Always, instead of lamenting and focusing on the physicality of things, always think about how you need to shift internally so that you are able to make the changes, heal yourself, and also heal the karma so that you don't come back with this baggage. जितना फोकस करोगे ये ठीक नहीं है, 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 उतना ही अगली बार दोबारा ऐसा ही आएगा. जब तक पूर्वा की मदर थी तब तक पूर्वा परेशान थी, माँ मेरे को प्यार नहीं करती है ना. पूरी जिंदगी ये क्रिप किया होगा इसने. जब तक माँ थी तब तक यही क्रिप था, प्यार नहीं करती. और उसके बाद से बाकी जिंदगी ये क्रिप किया कि माँ नहीं. इमेजिन. सीखा ना तब सीखा ना अब सीखा. She did not learn from a hard taskmaster mother what she had to learn there. And she did not learn from the departure of the mother also what she had to learn there. She's only focusing on the material. And thus her body is a full gyroscope of problems. ठीक ही नहीं होती है लड़की बिना डॉक्टर के पास जाए, एक हफ्ता नहीं रह सकती. और यही सिचुएशन रहेगी कोई भी जो मटेरियल पे फोकस करेगा. It will manifest physically, either in your relationships or in your physicality or in other things.
Can I ask a question? You know, everyone goes through the spiritual journey and you reach at different places in your life where you reach levels of detachment. You know that what you're feeling is temporary. You shouldn't pay attention to it. And then, you know, people say they inflict some event happens, someone inflicts hurt on you, and you experience it and you say, I know this is temporary. It'll pass. I don't want to feel it. So let me not pay attention to it. Let me move on. But still it keeps hurting. There's just waves of pain that keep happening.
Which is why sadhana is very helpful. Anybody who's done, including you, who's done sadhana through hard times, will be able to testify to it reduces the infliction. It reduces.
But you have to live with the infliction.
You have to go through the karmic baggage because it's a part of your cleansing. You have to go through it because it's a part of your cleansing. It's a part of your karma that you acquired. It's not like people who reach samadhi reach good circumstances.
Yeah.
है ना? अगर समाधि में अच्छे circumstances होते तो सोमनाथ तो कभी लुटता ही नहीं. Because everybody was elevated. Kashmir would have been the greatest place on earth. Because Kashmiri Shaivism, there is no comparison. People were so elevated. But remember, matter moves cyclically. So if you raise your consciousness too much, matter will fall. So samadhi does not guarantee that circumstances around you will be great. On contrary, samadhi might bring on difficult, hard, different circumstances. Like Manu's example of Osho.
Sadhana will also help in that state, not being in a state of inaction.
Yes, but To a certain extent, there are not some actions that you would be able to. Some actions you can't just, won't be able to do. Khushbu, you had a question?
I have many. I just want to process today's class and then I'll jot down my question and come back to you.
Okay, that'll be fine. Anybody else? Any other questions? All right. So does everybody understand what Lord Krishna is saying in 17? I won't come back to 17 again. Everybody understands the words. Everybody understands what is being said there. And you also understand here again, Lord Krishna is saying futile, futile. Don't focus on the matter. Matter cannot exist without the soul. The soul cannot be destroyed. Detach, detach, detach. Silence yourself so that you can see the apparatus that makes everything possible. The language is silence. Deep contemplation, meditation, samadhi. And as much as you can, what you can, the mental exercise that you can do, which is what is palpable, what is doable. Like I said in one of the classes before, stay happy, stay in a good place, do not carry grudges, do not carry weakness, do not carry sadness, do not carry complexes, do not carry any kind of insecurities, do not carry any kind of pain. As much as possible, stay happy. Stay happy. And as much as possible, keep yourself busy morning, noon, and night. Continue to work your very hardest. Because when you sit, you contemplate. No need to sit, no need to contemplate. Whatever little time you have, do puja, do sadhana, do yoga. Do not waste your time. We waste a lot of hours in the day. Yesterday, Deepa was saying, sit down. I cannot sit down. I cannot sit down through the day. Unless you put give me something. I cannot sit. खाली बैठ के बात भी करेंगे तो कुछ ना कुछ सिखा ही रहे होंगे. कर नहीं सकते. Possible नहीं खाली. Yes.
So Didi, since detachment is the key, so desires that comes to our mind. Now, desires can also lead to
Work very hard, fulfill them, and move past them. Desires are also vasanas. You have to go through everything. Like you have to go through grief, you have to go through death, you have to go through disease, you have to go through pain, you have to go through desires also. Go through them. That's why you have to work very hard. Otherwise, how will you fulfill your desires? है ना? हार्ड वर्क करो, एक्सरसाइज करो ममता, पतले हो जाओ, लड़का मिलेगा, लोनलीनेस खत्म हो जाएगी. Desire is good. Desire should make you work. Desire is good. No problem in desire. Stay happy. And continue to work. Continue to work. Continuously work. Continuously do your duty. Whatever is in front of you, do it. Set lofty goals and go about achieving them. Inaction is not the path of a yogi or a sadhu. Okay? Good, everyone? I'm sorry I had to start a little late today and it's gotten really late. But खा लीजिए खाना अगर नहीं खाया आपने अभी तक. All right, you guys have a nice week. and I'll see you next week. Namaste.